Smackdown tonight. We got a good final episode of Smackdown before next week's biggest WWE pay-per-view, WrestleMania 37. We got Edge kicking on SmackDown. We got the 8-man tag team match. We got the Seth Rollins Cesaro face-off. The women's tag team chaos, which I thought was absolutely terrible in my opinion. We got the debut of Sami Zayn's documentary trailer. Bianca Belair building momentum, finally building momentum, heading towards her WrestleMania 37 matchup against Sasha Banks. And then we got the Daniel Bryan, Jey Uso street fight match, with Daniel Bryan standing tall over Reigns and Edge in what was one of the best endings to SmackDown in my opinion. Folks, we're going to go over it all. We're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down. You know how I break it down. The community doesn't know how I break it down on my reviews. Nobody in the community knows how IWN breaks it down on his SmackDown, NXT, and SmackDown and Raw reviews. And AEW Dynamite and NXT UK reviews as well. But anyways, folks, we are going to go over everything that went down on the channel right here on my Ingram Wrestling News and Gaming YouTube channel. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your host, your narrator of your SmackDown review. This is IWN's very own Brennan, here live with your April the 2nd, 2021 SmackDown review. Thank you all for joining me, to those of you that are in the chat. If you're new to the channel, man, hit that subscribe button, turn on that bell for all notifications to never miss all of my Raw, SmackDown, NXT, NXT UK, and AEW Dynamite reviews that go live just about each and every week on the channel. Also, so you won't miss my gaming and wrestling content, so you won't miss my streams on Call of Duty, World of Tanks, Dragon Ball FighterZ, and much more. I got a few announcements. Number one, this month I am officially going to be buying a new game. It's either going to be WWE Battlegrounds or Jump Force. Now, which one would you all like me to buy first? Let me know in the comments below. Please and thank you. Also, of course, my WrestleMania's Night 1 and 2 reviews will be live next weekend. Also, tomorrow I will be streaming Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 4 tomorrow evening. So be there. Justin, you be there too, man, because I know you love some anime, bro. You be there too. Justin211. He's one of my moderators for my channel, for the live streams. He moderates the live streams, even when he's here or not here. Oh, and also, I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow afternoon. I may be reviewing NXT tomorrow afternoon. So please, I encourage everybody to join me for my NXT review if I do. Yes, I know that sounds surprising. I really did not want to review NXT this Wednesday night just because of the way the show was. The show didn't really sit there with me. From reading the NXT results this week, it just didn't really sit well with me. I mean, I will say the show was okay. It was great, but there were a few parts on the show that I didn't really like going into next week's takeover, you know? So, if I do go live with my NXT review tomorrow, please join me for that. I think I'm going to review NXT and NXT UK both combined. I might do both reviews combined tomorrow. So if I do, be there, man. It's going to be good, as usual. Now, do I have any SmackDown news? My answer is yes, I do have a little bit of SmackDown news. And we are actually going to go over it at the end. I got some news on Logan being Sami Zayn's guest at WrestleMania. I have some news on that. And I do also have some news. I got your news on how many WrestleMania tickets are actually left right now. I got some news on that. Plus, your news on Edge reacting to Christian jumping ship to AEW. And last but not least, I have some IWN news on Roman Reigns explaining the taping at Fastlane. So I got your SmackDown news on all that. We're gonna go over all that at the end. I'm gonna give you that piece of information to you all, especially to those of you that are Roman and Edge fans. The Edge fans, which I don't respect for agreeing to the fact that it should have been that, for agreeing to Vince and Bruce's decision on booking the triple threat match. But anyways, all the news we'll go over all the news at the end of the review. Right now, folks, if you're new to the channel, man, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, so you won't, again, miss my SmackDown, Raw, NXT, NXT UK, and AEW Dynamite reviews that go live each and every week. Also, follow me on Twitter at Ingham Wrestling. And follow me on Twitch at Ingham Wrestling News. Especially if you're a Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, and a Dragon Ball GT fan. If you're a Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball Super, and Dragon Ball Z fan, and you want to see more Dragon Ball Z Versus 2 content on Twitch, my channel would be the place to follow. I have it. I have it all. So follow me on Twitch for that. And with all that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started with the review. Now, first things first. SmackDown kicks off with Edge. Rightfully so. But it also kicks off with a recap of Fastlane 2 weeks ago, where Daniel Bryan made Roman Reigns unofficially tap out and was then assaulted with a chair by Edge. It then goes to last week's WrestleMania spot. Then it goes to the end of last week's SmackDown, where Adam Pearce, a WrestleMania triple threat match for the Universal Championship, before a brawl breaks out between the three, and Edge violently assaults both Roman and Bryan with a chair before also attacking Jey Uso and WWE officials. Edge makes his way to the ring with his trademark crazed look in his eyes. So Edge basically kicked off SmackDown, and also the recap did as well. Both Edge and the recap of last week's Fastlane kicked off SmackDown. Or Fastlane 2 weeks ago kicked off SmackDown. So Corey Graves on commentary. Corey Graves on commentary says that Edge is obsessed with being champion. Edge grabs a mic and says that the chaos and the destruction of last week didn't really need to happen, basically. Before saying that maybe it did need to be happened. Basically, he's saying it did need to happen. He calls Daniel Bryan roadkill and says he weaseled his way to WrestleMania. Edge cites Bryan as inspiration for his comeback, and that he was so focused on Roman Reigns that he didn't even see Bryan coming. Bet Bryan was happy to hear that one. Edge then says, while he is mad at Bryan, he thanks him and says he's had time to reflect and that he finally saw the rated R superstar. The graphic for the triple threat match is then displayed, and Edge says that he didn't think Reigns, Bryan, and Pearce understands the ramifications of what is happening. Edge says that he finally woke up and that he is a man that both Reigns and Bryan aspire to be. He says the feeling of swinging the chair again felt good to him, and that he won't hesitate next time Edge drops the mic and leaves the ring. So then it was announced that later that night that there would be a street fight between Bryan and Jey Uso. Now, my three questions are, number one, was the first hour of SmackDown great? My answer is yes. Was the second middle hour of SmackDown great? My answer is no. Now, was the second ending hour to SmackDown great? Absolutely. Now, even though I did shame the Edge fans for agreeing to Bruce and Vince's idea on the triple threat match, which that was the decision made by Bruce Vince at WWE. Even though I shitted on the Edge fans for that shit, I will say that as Edge exited the arena, he looked almost relevant, as of a giant weight had been lifted off his chest. Now, that's not particularly surprising either. Now, he has always been at this most comfortable as a heel, and now it's no different. His promo on the show announcing the reemergence of the Radar Superstar was the best he has cut since this latest return. I can't shit on that. He's one of the all-time greats. I can't shit on that. I don't hate Edge. I just hate the Edge fans for the simple fact that they, went with the decision on, with this Edge and Reigns feud when it should have been Bryan and Reigns instead of Edge and Reigns. Instead of Edge and Reigns and Bryan from WrestleMania 37. And I simply, on my SmackDown reviews recently, I simply explained why it should be Reigns and Bryan. Why the Reigns and Bryan's feud should have extended all the way to WrestleMania 37. Now, anyways, this was the best that Edge cut, the best promo that he cut since the latest return, and sets the stage for him to cheat and steal his way to the Universal Championship come April 11th. Now, of course, his whole story arc is a lot like Batista's in 2014, which saw the former world champion return, only to be overshadowed by Bryan. Now, it will be interesting to see if his return to the grand stage features the same result, or if he can thwart the surging leader of the Yes movement and the tribal chief to capture the top prize on SmackDown. Yeah, it's my analyst thoughts on that. Now, once it was announced that Daniel Bryan and Jey Uso were going to go one-on-one in a street fight in the main event of SmackDown, we got a commercial break, and then back on the air, and Edge is seen walking backstage before being approached for an interview about this street fight. Edge says that he doesn't feel bad about the possibility of Daniel Bryan being brutally beat down by Jey Uso, and that he wouldn't feel bad if Bryan couldn't make it to WrestleMania. Alpha Academy is in the ring. Chad Gable is on the mic and puts over Otis and himself, and that they are peaking at the right time, and that next week on SmackDown they will become the new tag team champions. So we got the 8-man tag match. We got Robert Roode and Ziggler, known as the Dirty Dogs. Robert Roode, Ziggler, Dirty Dogs, and the Alpha Academy, Chad Gable and Otis versus the Street Profits and the Mysterios. Now, even though we've seen these teams go at it with each other before, this tag team match was action-wise. I will admit the tag team match was not bad. I think what I saw was one of the best tag team matches that SmackDown's ever given us. One of the best 8-man tag team matches that SmackDown's ever produced, has ever given us, man. It was better than last week. Heck, in fact, it was better than 2 weeks ago. To put that in perspective, it was way better than 2 weeks ago, I can tell you that now. So, Dominic Mysterio and Dominic and Dolph Ziggler, start the match. Ziggler starts on the offensive before Dominic counters with a big boot and follows it with a DDT for a 2 count. So then chaos soon ensues as both Mysterios hit dives on Roode and Ziggler on the outside, and Montez Ford hits a dive onto Alpha Academy. So then we're back from a commercial with Ziggler and Ray in the ring. Ray tags in Angelo Dawkins for a hot tag. Fast-paced offense from Dawkins. Otis slows down Dawkins with a lariat. Ziggler makes a tag from the mat to Otis. Now Otis hits Dawkins with a hard Irish whip to the corner, followed by an elbow drop. Now, Otis then tags in Rude, who hits a vertical suplex and corners for a 2 count. My eyelashes are really bothering me. Ziggler drags Dawkins back to the corner and tags Otis back in. Dawkins breaks out of a submission hold before a double lariat knocks down both men. Gable is tagged in as Dawkins makes the hot tag to Ford, who fires off quick strikes and slams to Gable. Ray goes for a 619. Boyaka, boyaka. 619. Boyaka, boyaka. You know. Anyways. But is grabbed by Rude. Which, that was bad. I don't think Rude appreciated Rey Mysterio getting ready to hit the 619. I don't think he appreciated that. I think he thought that was disrespect to himself. Ford attempts a roll-up for a 2 count. Ford misses a top rope move. Gable tags in Otis. Gable holds down Ford as Otis hits a flying bulldozer and makes the cover for the 3 count. And that was it. That was it, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this was a really, really great tag match. It was a really great tag match. My analyst thoughts on this, honestly, like I said, great tag action. Better than 2 weeks ago. Now, there was a little in the way of narrative or real flow to this one, as half of it took place during the commercial break, as you all noticed. Now, the action, like I said, that there was thought, though, was explosive and highlighted in what has been a solid division over the last 2 months. It's better than this division is better than the women's tag team division, I'll tell you that much. Gable and Otis appear to be the hottest team in the division entering next week's title match. But this feels very much like an opportunity for WWE to book Ray and Dominique to make history and become the first father-son duo to capture the tag team gold. I would love to see what that's like, and I would love to see a new tag team crush their hopes and dreams of being champions. Now, the company does, after all, like to pat its own back when it comes to producing history-making events. You all that are WWE fans should know that. If you've known that for years, good. If you're just now knowing that, that's not good. If you're just now knowing that, now you freaking know. Backstage, Paul Heyman confronts Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville, informing the authority figures of a hold harmless agreement for the main event street fight. Deville cuts off Pearce to side with Pearce, to the shock of Pearce. Seth Rollins comes out as a video package replays Rollins narrowly avoiding a swing attempt from Cesaro. He feels Cesaro attacked Rollins backstage and swung Rollins around. A face-to-face confirmation was announced between Rollins and Cesaro. So then, we got a commercial break. Back on the air with Rollins, Cesaro, and Corey Graves. You know, Carmella's boyfriend. Yeah. Now, Corey Graves is in the ring. Graves mentions that this WrestleMania will be Cesaro's first singles match at WrestleMania, which that is absolutely bad. I would be embarrassed to hear that if it was my first WrestleMania, I'd be embarrassed to hear it. I'd be pissed off and embarrassed to hear it. If I was Cesaro, I think I'd be pissed at Vince and creative for underutilizing him, wasting him, and keeping him off TV for months and months. I think I'd be fucking infuriated. Now, Graves is in the ring. Graves mentions that this WrestleMania will be Cesaro's first singles match at WrestleMania. Cesaro says that this week, WrestleMania, he can't fail. He won't fail. Cesaro breaks out in song referencing the swing. Now, Seth Rollins says that when it comes to WrestleMania season, he can't be shaken. Rollins says that when you talk about WrestleMania moments, you need to mention his WrestleMania moments. Cesaro says that he knows that he can beat Rollins at WrestleMania. And that he will embarrass Rollins. Cesaro again references the swing, which angers Rollins this time. Rollins fiercely tells Cesaro that he is not on his level. And that he will, embarrass Cesaro at WrestleMania. Cesaro says, take a swing. After Rollins implied he would attack Cesaro right then and now. Rollins then exits the ring and walks to the back. Now we got Carmella approached backstage by Women's Tag Team Champions Nia Jax. Nia Jax! Nia Jax! Who the fuck wants to see Nia Jax on television every week? I'm pretty sure nobody. Pretty sure not a damn single person in the community ever seen in the ring. Nobody gives a shit about Nia Jax, seriously. We got Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler before they continue walking backstage. Feel like throwing up just mentioning Nia Jax's name. I really do. We got Shayna Baszler with Nia Jax at ringside versus Natalya with Tamina at ringside. Oh jeez, that's even worse. That's even worse. That's even worse seeing Natalya and Tamina on my TV. That was even more worse than seeing Nia Jax on my TV. Holy shit. All three women combined on my TV? Bad. Awful. Absolutely awful, man. Absolutely awful. This was a waste of a singles match. This was complete garbage. This was absolutely nauseating garbage. This match was. The match starts with a lockup before Natalya attempts a sharpshooter. The two trade roll-ups before Natalya scores a shocking quick victory with a roll-up. For months and months and months, Shayna Baszler has been utilized, wasted, and kept off TV, and she continues to lose at the hands of SmackDown and Raw women's wrestlers that should not be getting their pushes. Natalya and Tamina? Really? Does it look like Natalya and Tamina deserve those women's tag team titles? And do we even need a women's tag team division? My answer is no. It's not helping the SmackDown viewership, and it's most certainly not boosting up the Raw ratings. So why do we need a division full of women's tag teams? And what is the meaning of this pair up with Mandy and Dana Brooke? How does this make sense? I don't get it. Now you go from Mandy Rose pairing up with Dana Brooke to Naomi pairing up with Lana. Why do we got all these? What do we need all these women's tag teams for, Bruce? Huh? Huh? What is this? What do we need all these women's tag teams for? I don't get your logic here, man. I really don't. I really don't understand it. This match was an absolute waste of everybody's time watching it. I really feel bad for everybody that watched this match. I really do. I really felt really bad for everybody that watched this match, man. This match was absolutely fucking awful. Oh my goodness, bro. This shit was complete garbage, man. You know what? I don't even know what else I want to say about it, dude. They really, but the fact, on top of the fact that they really need to get Shayna Baszler the hell away from Nia Jax. Nia Jax, they continue to embarrass Shayna Baszler by having her paired up with Nia Jax. In fact, they are still the women's tag team champions. I don't even know why they're women's tag team champions at this point. They should be breaking up. They should be breaking up. WWE should be coming up with a breakup storyline with Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. They should be having these two break up. They should be dropping the titles and breaking up. Hopefully soon. They should be. I hope. Hope sooner rather than later. Because I'm tired of seeing this pair up of Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler. Most importantly, tired of seeing these pair ups of Mandy Rose, Dana Brooke, and Naomi and Lana. I really hope they break up all of these tag teams and get rid of the women's tag team titles. We don't need them. They are not the most important titles in WWE. Not even the 24/7 championship. Why do we still got the 24/7 championship being shown on every week's episode of Monday Night Raw? Why? I don't understand this. I don't understand this, Bruce. I don't get it. Why do we have these two titles? Why are these two titles important to the Virgin geeks in the community? You know, the ones who actually care about the women's tag team division. Are they delusional? I think they are. What do you guys think? I think they're delusional. I think they're out of their fucking minds. Really? A women's tag team division? Are you fucking serious? Get out of here, man. Oh my god, man. And you know what? Come to think of it, I think Bruce and Vince are jealous of Tony Khan and his AEW women's division and how much they have improved over the last few weeks. Speaking of AEW, there's a few women's matches that are booked for next week's episode of AEW Evolution. We got Tesha Price going one-on-one with Ryo Mizunami. Just thought I'd give you a heads up on that one. And we got Alex Garcia going one-on-one with Britt Baker. Those are going to be some great women's matches. Hell, those women's matches are better than watching the women's matches on Raw and SmackDown. I can't believe I'm saying this shit because it's the truth. What else do you want me to say? I'm not going to praise a women's tag team division that's fucking god-awful. Are you serious? Get this shit off my TV, man. This tag team women's chaos needs to fucking end. This division, the tag team women's division, needs to come to an end because it's not working for neither female talents. I would be so disappointed if they booked a women's tag team title match for WrestleMania 37. I wouldn't even care less if they did. Okay? That's all I'm going to say. I just hope at some point Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler drops the titles. We can start the Nia Jax Shayna Baszler breakup feud. We can see Shayna Baszler finally break up and separate from Nia Jax because I'm tired of seeing them together. Shit is fucking awful. I feel bad for Shayna Baszler. I really do. Shayna Baszler is the queen of spades. She is the submission magician. Why would you want a submission magician with the... That doesn't sound right. A submission magician with the dominant Nia Jax? That doesn't sound right, dude. Oh my god. And if you were one of the fucking IWC geeks that went with the decision that Bruce and Vince went with having Shayna Baszler paired up with Nia Jax, you're a complete fucking idiot. You are a complete fucking idiot. You are a complete idiot. Period. Now, anyways, as I was saying here, we had a commercial break. Back in the air. Out comes Sami Zayn. Walking down to the ramp on a red carpet. Zayn grabs the mic and excitedly says it's the day he's been waiting for, saying that tonight he proves without a doubt that there is a conspiracy against him. Now, I really enjoyed Sami Zayn and his promos and his freaking, him doing the best work of his career and all. But why would you call out Logan Paul? Who the hell needed Logan Paul? What was the reason for Logan Paul to even be on the show? I'm just asking, man. Anyways, continuing on here. Now, Zayn grabs the mic and excitedly says, it's the day he's been waiting for, saying that tonight he proves without a doubt that there is a conspiracy theory against him. Zayn announces his guest of honor, and out to the ring comes a fucking Logan Paul from the USA. From the USA. At one point I thought he's from the UK. But I guess not. Zayn embraces Paul with a hug before the two take a seat. Paul thanks Zayn for inviting him and says he's excited to be in a WWE ring and that he is excited to see Zayn's documentary. Now, Zayn formally invites Paul to once again be his guest, this time at WrestleMania, and Paul accepts. Oh, Jesus Christ. This was a fucking god-awful decision. Why, Bruce? Why Logan Paul on SmackDown? Why, Bruce? Why? And I do got some news on Logan Paul, and you are not gonna fucking believe this shit. This is gonna have a lot of you fucking angry as fuck, dude, on this news on Logan Paul. Oh my god. I do not understand the logic here. Why have Logan Paul at Sami Zayn's ringside for his match against Kevin Owens at WrestleMania? Why? I don't understand. Why? Why? You're basically wasting Logan Paul. You realize that, right, Bruce? Logan Paul is basically going to do absolutely what, chat? Nothing! It's almost like he's fucking. It's almost as if he's Tiger Woods. You know what I'm saying? Jeez. I don't understand it, dude. Or maybe a Kid Cash from SmackDown years ago. You know, back in the Attitude Era. You know what I'm saying? Shit didn't make sense, man, to have Logan Paul appear on SmackDown. Now, accompanied by a drum roll, a trailer for Zayn's conspiracy documentary is reviewed. My eyes is burning, sorry. I'm kind of sorry that my voice is kind of different. Backstage segments and footage recaps Zayn's road to believing he is a conspiracy victim. Zayn says in the trailer that there have been countless injustice against him. Back to the ring, and Zayn is very excited about his trailer. He asks for Paul's thoughts. Paul says it was a lot to take in and that it was compelling. Paul says that Owens approached him and says that Owens told him that he's known Zayn for 15 years and that there is no conspiracy. Zayn gets angry, and before snapping on Paul, he manages to calm himself down and says that he doesn't want Owens poisoning Paul's mind. Owens surprises Zayn with a stunner out of nowhere, and Owens walks off while pushing Paul out the way. Backstage to Pierce and Deville, being approached by Edge this time. Edge says that Pierce made the biggest mistake in WWE history. No. First of all, Bruce and Vince in WWE made the biggest, dumbest decision in WWE history by having you win the 2021 Men's Royal Rumble. Right? Because that's exactly what that was. And then have you feud with Roman Reigns, and ultimately we get a triple threat match. We get Edge versus Reigns versus Daniel Bryan. Oh, great. I can't hardly wait. Anyways. So Edge says that Pierce made the biggest mistake in WWE history last week, and that the street fight was actually a good idea. Edge got some nerve to say that Pierce made a big mistake when Bruce and Vince made a big mistake having him to win the men's 2021 Royal Rumble. It should have been Daniel Bryan winning the men's 2021 Royal Rumble. It should have been the Daniel Bryan and Reigns feud extending all the way to WrestleMania 37. Should it not? That's what it should have been. There's a story there. Bryan and Reigns have a history between one another. It's a money-making storyline. It's a great feud. It has good potential. We could have got Reigns versus Bryan for Elimination Chamber, Fastlane. That would have continued. The feud after both of those pay-per-views. That would have continued the Bryan and Reigns feud, and then it would have lasted all the way to WrestleMania 37. And right there and then, we would have got the real match. The real Roman Reigns versus Bryan match for the Universal Championship. I think that was the way to go about it. That's what I think should have happened. My opinion. I don't think it should have never been Edge and Reigns. It should have been Edge and McIntyre. Even JD on his podcast said this. He said the same thing. And I'm saying the same thing now. It should have been Edge and McIntyre. And Daniel Bryan and Reigns. Not Edge and Reigns. Not McIntyre and Lashley. It should have been McIntyre and Edge. It should have been Roman and Daniel Bryan. Not McIntyre and Lashley. Not Edge, Reigns, and Bryan. What the hell? What is this, Bruce? Seriously. Absolutely makes no sense, man. It really doesn't. Now, Carmella makes her entrance as a match between her and Bianca Belair was announced. We got a commercial break. Kevin Owens is approached for an interview, and Owens says that he was just trying to send Sami a message. But I forgot though. Vince, Bruce, and the Edge fans didn't want to see Bryan and Reigns for WrestleMania 37. They wanted the triple threat match. Like a bunch of fucking dumb idiots. Right? Yeah, great. I can't hardly wait to see how terrible this threat match is going to be. I can't wait to see how this terrible match is going to turn out. I can't wait. I can't hardly wait. Great. Not what I wanted. I wanted Bryan and Reigns for the Universal Championship because it made perfect sense. It makes more sense than Edge and Reigns. Not only did I want Reigns and Daniel Bryan for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania 37, I also wanted McIntyre and Edge. McIntyre and Edge would have been the newest feud going into WrestleMania 37. Would have been the newest feud on Monday Night Raw. Something fresh. Something Raw should have considered right from the beginning. But that didn't happen, though. That did it. No, it was the opposite. Which I did not agree with whatsoever. Now, Zayn then attacks Owens backstage and says that he ruined everything at that. He will see Owens at WrestleMania. Zayn versus Owens at WrestleMania is a perfect match. I think if I was a freaking person that would book a match, I think that would be the match to book for WrestleMania right there. That's going to be one of the best matches on the WrestleMania 37 card, without a doubt. Kevin Owens and Zayn have so much chemistry in the ring, they can fucking throw it down. Now, I absolutely agree with this decision to book Zayn versus Kevin Owens. But, really? Zayn with Logan Paul at ringside? Logan Paul doesn't need to be at WrestleMania. Let alone, they don't even need Logan Paul. Who the hell needs this guy? Really? He's not a wrestler, so he shouldn't be there. Oh, but he's a guest for Sami Zayn's conspiracy theory show or whatever the fuck it is. The fuck is this, man? This is why I say the second middle hour of SmackDown was not good. This was one of the things that was on the second hour, that was on the middle second hour of SmackDown. This right here. And the women's tag team chaos was too. That shit, I still can't get off of how terrible that was, man. That chaos was fucking absolutely awful, man. Something that me and my moderator Justin did not want to see on our TVs. Justin 211, one of my moderators, was in my chat for my SmackDown live stream watch along, man. We talked about that, man, and we did not. We talked about how unhappy we was with that women's tag team chaos. That shit was fucking straight up garbage. It was. I don't care what kind of Nia Jax fan or what kind of fucking Dan Brooke or Naomi geek in the chat has to fucking say about it. It was fucking terrible. Awful. We didn't need that on our TVs. We didn't need that. We really didn't, man. So, now my thoughts on the Sami Zayn documentary. Now, I do have some good things to say about the Sami Zayn documentary. They're not bad at all. In fact, this was a much hyped appearance by Paul, even though we didn't need him. I mean, even though we didn't need him. It would have been good without him. Turns out it was good with him, but it would have been good without him too. We didn't need him on the show. Now, much hype appearance by Paul amounted to nothing as he didn't bring anything of note to the segment. Which is one of the reasons why I said, again, WWE didn't need him. Now, he looked uneasy and comfortable. perhaps nervous. Now, Zayn, on the other hand, was extraordinary. Now, he chewed the scenario, making the most of the segment and reminding fans why he has been one of the bright spots of COVID era WWE. Now, he was nothing short of outstanding, even as Owens dropped him. Now, their match, if it is allowed to meet its potential, has the potential to be a genuine show stealer. Like I said earlier, it has the potential to be one of the best matches on the WrestleMania 37 card. I think it will be. Like I said earlier, I'm saying it again. Zayn and Owens have so much chemistry, and not only do they have so much chemistry, they also have so much history between one another. Makes you think. Sami Zayn and Owens feuded with everybody on the SmackDown roster years ago. They were best friends. Then one of them turned on each other. So it's great that we're seeing the Kevin Owens and Zayn feud being brought back to life. Now that would certainly help the SmackDown viewership right there. That right there. That's one of the feuds that would help the SmackDown viewership. A babyface Kevin Owens feuding with a heel Sami Zayn? I'll take it any day of the week. After all, remember, years ago, we used to see a babyface Sami Zayn, once upon a time, babyface Sami Zayn feud with a heel Kevin Owens. Now we're seeing a babyface Kevin Owens feuding with a heel Sami Zayn. It's great. Perfect sense to me. I'm not complaining about it. But this match has the potential to be a great show stealer and one of the deafening bouts of a jam-packed card. Period. I am straight up 100% right about this, man. No doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind that this is going to be one of the greatest matches on this WrestleMania 37 card. Some of the matches is going to deliver. Not all of them. Some of the matches on the WrestleMania 37 card. Now, as far as the NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver, the tag team tournament. The tag team match for the vacant NXT tag team titles. I think those two matches are going to be one of the other matches that's going to deliver. I think those two matches are going to be the best matches on that takeover. Walter versus Tommaso Ciampa and MSK versus Grizzly Young Veterans versus Legado del Fantasma. Those matches are certainly going to be delivered. They're going to be two of the greatest matches on that card, in my opinion. And Escobar versus Devlin. So that's 3. Make that 3. Now, anyways, we got Carmella making her entrance as a match in her match between her and Bianca Belair, the EST. I call Sasha Banks the TLB. That's what I call her. It stands for the legit boss. I think it's a good flow. Calling Sasha Banks the TLB. That's a great it's a great name. Bianca Belair, the EST, Sasha Banks, the TLB. Nothing wrong with that. I'm sure you know what TLB stands for. I just said it. I'm not going to repeat it. So once again, Carmella made her entrance. Her match between Bianca Belair was up next. We got a commercial break. Kevin Owens is approached for an interview, and Owens says that he was just trying to send Sami a message. Hey, Pavan, I hope you're enjoying this review, man. If you are, hit the like button on the stream. I would really appreciate it. Anyways, Owens says that he was just trying to send Sami a message. Zayn then attacks Owens backstage, which I already knew was going to happen. This feud is imploding quick. Quicker than a fucking cheetah, man. Seriously. And says that he ruined everything at, that he will see Owens at WrestleMania 37, basically. So we got a video package airing, recapping the ongoing feud between WrestleMania opponents, Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. Man, oh my god, last week's Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair build was absolutely terrible. That was one of the worst fucking builds heading towards WrestleMania that I've ever fucking seen. Don't get me wrong, Belair and Sasha Banks are one of the best in-ring SmackDown women's performers on the SmackDown women's rosters. They are the best things going for the SmackDown women's division. Don't get me wrong. But their build last week, it was awful. It was awful. It was god awful, man. It really was. Especially with Reynolds included in it. Oh, and remember their feud with Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler? That's probably one of the things that made their build awful. Right there. I pray to God they don't add Carmella to this triple threat match. Nor Bayley, because if they do, I'm going to be pissed. It needs to stay where it is. Sasha Banks versus Belair should main event WrestleMania 37. It needs to stay that way. I don't want to see no women added. No other women added to this match. Period. Now, Belair. We got the video package of the feud between Belair and Banks, including Banks attacking Belair after Belair's match on last week's SmackDown. Now, Belair is interviewed backstage. I know y'all getting tired of me saying Belair. It takes credit for bringing out the legit boss in Sasha. And Sasha Banks was definitely a legit boss when she slapped the hell out of Bianca Belair. I don't know if you've seen on my WWE Smackdown live stream watch along, I was like, when I seen Sasha Banks slap Bianca Belair, I was like, she's a legit boss. And anyways, that is exactly that Sasha Banks she wants to face. That's the Sasha Banks she wanted to see. Now, Belair then shifts her attention to her opponent, Carmella, and says that she is not looking past her. But it's going right through her. So we got Carmella versus Bianca Belair. The EST of Once Upon a Time NXT, now the EST Now and Forever. And ever so, the EST of SmackDown. Now, Carmella attacks Belair as she is entering the ring before continuing her assault on Belair on the outside. Oops, I bumped my fucking fist on the mic. Outside before the bell even rings. Michael Cole on commentary says that Belair is hurt after being thrown into the steel steps by Carmella. And then we got Carmella having Belair in a sleeper hold. I almost didn't know what I was reading. Belair counters before Carmella hits a Hurricane Rana and a Briscoe Buster. Carmella continues her attack by stomping Belair on the mat. So Belair continues counters with a huge lariat out of the corner, out of nowhere. A dropkick and a series of strikes from Belair. And then Carmella rolls out of a moonsault attempt and covers Belair for a 2 count. Now, Belair hits the kiss of death and covers Carmella for the 3 count. After the match, Sasha Banks runs in, and before things escalate, Banks rolls out of the ring and holds up the championship belt as Belair points to the WrestleMania sign. Roman and Jey Uso are seen backstage discussing the main event street fight. Now, my analyst thoughts on the match between Carmella and Bianca Belair. First of all, let me just say, Bianca Belair, oh my gosh, the fact that you got hurt after being thrown off those steps, oh my god, I feel bad for you. That was embarrassing. Just throwing it out there. Anyways, that was sad. That was just I don't know. I don't know what the word I'm looking for. I can't find the word I'm looking for right now. Anyways, now, my thoughts on this, honestly, this match, like most of the show, it felt like a picture holder segment. I will say that. Now, after Belair got the win, after selling way too much for Carmella, and Banks nearly, got one more over on her top contender instead. The stare down ensued, and nothing was really accomplished between the rivals. It was merely an excuse to keep both women on screen, while similarly putting Carmella over in defeat as the woman who proved she can hang with the Rumble winner. WWE's instance on 50-50 booking, evidenced here by Carmella dominating only to lose, so Belair continued her winning ways, benefits no one in the long run. Now, we got the street fight, the main event of SmackDown. Speaking of that, we got Roman Reigns, Jey Uso seen backstage discussing the main event street fight. Commercial break, King Corbin is seen backstage and claims that he is a king and deserves respect, and that he will defeat Drew McIntyre and then Bobby Lashley to become the WWE champion. He will, so let me get this straight. He said he will defeat Drew McIntyre and then Bobby Lashley to become the WWE champion. I'm sorry. I can't believe I'm hearing this shit. So we're basically getting Drew McIntyre versus a boring Baron Corbin on a every week boring weekly episode of Monday Night Garbage. Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Garbage known as Monday Night Raw. Yeah. Bruce, what is this? Why Drew McIntyre versus Baron Corbin? Why? So you could make the Raw viewership go to an all-time low, even lower? So you can make the Raw viewership look lower? Lower than it looked the last few months? Is that why? Or is it because you're still trying to find ways to boost up the Raw viewership, knowing you're continuing to fail each and every week? You and Vince, anyway, continues to fail. Do you really think King Corbin being brought to Raw is going to do anything for the ratings and the viewership? I don't think so. I really don't think it's going to do anything for the viewership at all. I think it's just a fucking complete waste. And WWE are just trying to be the laziest company possible. I think WWE are just trying to find ways to please the fans, to bring the fans to the Raw virtual Thunderdome arenas, trying the best they can to, give fans what they want, but they're not actually giving the fans what they want. They're actually giving themselves what they want. They're not what the fans want. What the fans in the community wants is better Monday Night Raw and SmackDown shows. And that's what we're not getting. We're not getting the SmackDown and Raw shows that we are used to getting, all because of Bruce and Vince. Because Bruce and Vince is in charge of both Raw and SmackDown. Bruce is executive director for both brands, for both Raw and SmackDown, and Vince is chairman. They're in power. They think that's the problem. Once again, it's the problem with Bruce and Vince. They always think it's about power, it's about money, it's about giving the fans, making the fans mad. They think it's about giving the fans what they want out of the shows. No, what we want is them giving us what we want out of the shows. Not them giving us what they want out of the shows. Them giving us what we want out of the shows. You know what I mean? So, hopefully when Bruce gets fired and Vince gets removed as chairman, we should slowly start getting better Raw and SmackDown shows. Hopefully sooner rather than later. Because Bruce is not doing his job as executive director, neither is Vince doing his job as chairman. They are producing the absolute worst Raw and SmackDown shows we've ever got in recent memory. And this week's episode of Raw definitely showed just that. These shows need improvement. Raw, especially, needs improvement. This is absolutely ridiculous. It's if anything, it's mainly got a lot to do with Bruce and Vince's terrible creative writing and ideas. That's one of the other reasons why the shows have been terrible every week. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, dragging all the audience away. All the audience that pay, $100,000 something to watch a fucking god-awful episode of Raw and SmackDown every week? You got to think about the fans. You got to think about how much they're paying to watch pay-per-views, to watch these shows. Vince and Bruce don't think about that. Now, do they? No, they don't. They don't think about that stuff. See, they only think about, we're going to do this. You know what? We're going to bury this guy from NXT. We're going to bury this female talent from NXT. Oh, we're going to bury this person from NXT UK. Or we're going to bury this and that. They don't think about all this stuff, man. And I don't even think they know what they're doing themselves, to be honest. And to the SmackDown Women's Division, I just want to say they are doing great. They need more, but they need more women's talents on the SmackDown Women's roster. They need more than just Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair and Bayley on that roster. They're going to need talents like Io Shirai from NXT, or a Candice LeRae, or a freaking Raquel Gonzalez, or Dakota Kai. The SmackDown Women's Division needs to be the best that it's ever been. Well, so far, it's not really been that. It's just been wishy-washy. Just like same with the Raw Women's Division. It's been complete garbage. Wishy-washy. These divisions need to improve, man. And this 50-50 booking needs to die down a bit, because it is becoming a big problem. This 50-50 complete garbage booking is becoming a major problem, man. It needs to slow down a bit. Vince and Bruce's terrible creative writing and garbage ideas is becoming the main problem. And the main reason as to why these shows are suffering. So, I will be so glad when Bruce gets fired and Vince gets actively removed from WWE. Anyways, moving on. Oh, and by the way, don't forget Bruce buries NXT talent to Vince. How do you think the NXT male and female talents feel getting buried? Bruce burying them to Vince. Their own employees. They're burying their own. It's embarrassing to hear that this is Cesaro's first singles match at WrestleMania. His first WrestleMania? How do you think Cesaro's feeling right now? Shit, I feel embarrassed. I feel angry to hear that. If I was a freaking veteran being utilized on a SmackDown or Raw roster, I feel embarrassed. I feel angry that it'd be my first WrestleMania. I feel very, very guilty, disrespected, angry, disappointed, all that. Anyways, so it looks like we're getting Drew McIntyre versus King Corbin. I mean, who the fuck? Who the fuck wants to watch King Corbin on a every Monday weekly basis of Monday Night Raw? Nobody. I know I don't. I can't stand the guy. I love his attires, but I can't stand his fucking character. His character is complete fucking garbage. Alright? Apollo Crews, however, his character is one of the best things going. Speaking of one of the best things going, the Apollo Crews and Big E feud is one of the best things going in the SmackDown men's division. One of the only best feuds going right now. Apollo Crews backstage, he says that Big E greatly disrespected him at Fastlane and that he will not stand for it. Crews announces a special Nigerian drum fight at WrestleMania. Now, he's not really Nigerian. This is just his character. He's from the U.S. And anyways, that he will finally become the Intercontinental Champion. Paul Heyman approaches Edge and says that we all know the main event for WrestleMania should have always been Edge versus Roman Reigns. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure thing, Heyman. Sure thing, bro. I wonder why. Oh man, seriously, this shit sounds so garbage. Just by the way he's saying it, man. The shit sounds so fucking just god awful to hear. The fact that he said it should have been Edge versus Reigns. I would have assumed he would say it should have been Bryan versus Reigns. Hello. Oh, but I guess he leaves Bryan out the picture, right? I guess he says, fuck Bryan. I'm just gonna say it should have been Reigns versus Edge. Typical fucking Bruce Fence involvement right here, man. This has got to be scripted. Of what Paul Heyman said has definitely got to be scripted. It's got to be scripted or something. Because I know damn well that he wouldn't say this in real life. Paul Heyman would not say this in real life at all. Edge cuts off Heyman to let us know he will be on commentary for the street fight. So here we go with the street fight, man. I don't know what the fuck we got this match. I mean, do you know how many times we've seen Daniel Bryan versus Jey Uso? Huh? Think about it. I think I would have rather got a Reigns versus Bryan singles match than a Jey Uso versus Daniel Bryan. Or maybe a Daniel Bryan versus Edge singles match. I mean, given that Edge is in the Reigns and Bryan feud, which I will not accept. That I will not accept to say, but unfortunately, I had to, given the circumstances. But we got Bryan versus Jey Uso. The same main event we got last week and the week before, right? Or should I say the same main event we got the week prior? So, the main event of the evening starts off fiercely with the two trading strikes before a big shoulder tackle from Uncle Oos throws Bryan to the outside where where Bryan responds with strikes of his own. I got that one wrong. Uso throws Bryan into the barricade on the outside and then picks him up to throw him to the barricade a second time. Now, Uso grabs a steel chair. Bryan goes for a dive and runs right into a chair shot from Uso. Uso continues his assault on Bryan with the chair inside the ring. Uso puts the chair around Bryan's leg, and Bryan avoids a top rope dive from Uso. Bryan picks up the chair and hits Uso, and Roman Reigns comes out to the ring with Paul Heyman, rolling out a chair for Roman to sit in at the top of the ramp. Commercial break. The main event continues live with Bryan delivering a series of kicks to Uso in the corner before Uso hits a super kick to take back the momentum. Oh, you know what? That explains why we got the main event. Because Bryan is involved in the Reigns and Edge feud. No wonder why. And Jey Uso is involved in the feud too. No wonder why we keep getting this main event match. No wonder why we keep getting Bryan versus Jey Uso. Not only is Bryan feuding with Edge and Reigns, he's actually feuding with Jey Uso too. Why would you have Bryan feuding? Why would you give Bryan two feuds? I don't think it makes sense to give Bryan two feuds. I don't get it. So, Bryan basically continuing his rivalry with Jey Uso, and he's feuding with Edge and Reigns. I don't get this. Why can't you just have Bryan in one feud and not in two? So basically, if Bryan is going against Jey Uso every week, you might as well say he's continuing his rivalry with Jey Uso as well. Might as well say Bryan has two feuds. Jesus Christ, man. I don't understand the logic here, man. I really don't. On the logic of this, I don't get it, man. Uso throws Bryan right into a chair set up in the corner. Uso grabs a steel chair from under the ring, or actually a steel chain from under the ring. Okay, I did say it wrong. I thought I did. Now, chair and chain almost sound, because if you're saying cheer, change the end of the R, it's chair. But then when you say cheer, change the R to the end, chin, or chain, actually, chain. That's why I got it wrong, because I was thinking it was chair, but then I found out it was chain. But anyways, Uso he grabs a steel chain from under the ring and attacks Bryan with it. Bryan gets up and Uso punches Bryan with the chain wrapped around his fist. And then Uso hits a frog splash and covers Bryan for a 2 count. Uso rolls Bryan outside the ring and Irish whips Bryan into the steel steps. Uso bounces Bryan's head off the steps and attempts a suplex from off the steps, which Bryan blocks and counters with a suplex of his own. Bryan bounces Uso's head off the announce table repeatedly and throws Uso in the ring and hits a missile drop kick from the top rope to Uso. Bryan hits the yes kicks. As Roman looks on, Bryan wraps the chain around his arm and proceeds to hit Uso several times. Bryan applies the yes lock as Uso taps out. Now after the match, Daniel Bryan hits a running knee to Edge and continues his assault on Edge by throwing him against the ring post 3 times. Bryan walks towards Reigns. As Bryan moves faster, Reigns throws his chair. Bryan ducks and takes Roman down and puts him in the yes lock. Before Roman can tap, officials come out and breaks the hold. So, once the hold gets broken, Bryan goes back to the ring to lead a yes chant from the corner as SmackDown went off air. Now, here is my thoughts. I like this story. Even though I don't like this story or idea, I will give it some credit. I will give it a whole lot of credit and say that to both Edge, Reigns, and Bryan proved he was not just some guy who schemed his way into a title shot at Mania. First, he outlasted Uso and showed, that he can brawl as well as anyone. Now, he left both heels laying, sending a message loudly and clearly to anyone doubting his ability to capture the Universal title on April 11th. Now, Edge was great on commentary, even though I don't like the fact that he's in the Reigns and Bryan feud, even though it makes no sense. He did great on commentary into filling the role of the, paranoid bad guy. Whatever he was telling Uso not to look at him or chastising Cole for considering Bryan a better high-pressure wrestler than he, the radar superstar relashed the opportunity to be the heel rather than the returning babyface, just happy to be back in wrestling. Oh, just like the fact that you were involved, that I suspect to believe that you were involved with Bruce Vince's creative, political, stupid agenda and ideas of having Bryan lose all those matches that he lost last year, right? Just like your involvement in that, right, Edge? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was involved with Bruce and Vince's stupid agenda, political agenda, and ideas of having Bryan lose all those matches he lost last year. Remember when Bryan was getting billed, he kept losing matches after match after match on SmackDown last year? I think Edge was involved with that, with Bryan's matches. I think he was involved with the creative writing and all the bullshit and Bruce Vince's stupid political agenda. I think he was involved with that shit. I think he had a lot to do with the reason why Dan Bryan lost all those matches last year on SmackDown. I already said that, but I just want to repeat it so you all will know and understand and realize that I am possibly telling the truth, which I myself know I am. But even though I don't like the story and the idea, the Edge and Reigns and Bryan feud, even though I don't really like this, I don't really appreciate this, even though it should have been Daniel Bryan and Reigns, I will say that the story involving these three has been the best thing in recent weeks and months leading into WrestleMania. I got to give them a lot of credit for this. I can't shit on that fact. It's been true. It's been the best thing in the weeks and months. Even the Big E and Apollo Crews storyline. Even that feud's been the best thing in recent weeks. That's two feuds. Two feuds. Only 2 stories, 2 feuds on SmackDown that have been the best things in recent weeks and months, leading into WrestleMania. So it should be no real surprise that on this night of overwhelming creative, Bryan, Edge, and Reigns excelled. Same with Big E and Apollo Crews and their feud and their story. Now, that's going to do it for the review. That's it for the review, folks. This is the end of your April 2nd, 2021 SmackDown review. We're going to go on ahead and turn over to the news now. The news that you all need to hear. The news that's very important. It may not be important to some, but I can guarantee you it's definitely important to a few. So, now, let's move on to the news, to some of the SmackDown news I got here. See, I'm trying to pull it up. It's taking an awful long time here. There we go. Alright, so first things first, I have some news on how many WrestleMania tickets are actually left. I got some news on that. To those of you who are planning on getting tickets for WrestleMania, I got some news on that. So, WWE's biggest show of the year is next weekend, and they are bringing fans back for the first time since the pandemic started. And the company still has just under 2,000 tickets left. Now, according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, the company still has a few more tickets to sell, but they are almost certain to sell out by the time the show of shows rolls around. Now, the live event tickets sold almost completely in the pre-sale at press time. 9 days before the show, there were 1,000 tickets left for Saturday and 809 tickets left for Sunday. So both will almost certainly sell out of their allotment of tickets that were originally put on sale. Now, the remaining tickets include a lot of the high dollar seats. It will be a huge deal when WWE can show live fans again. And they're even considering making an interesting move during the kickoff show to capitalize on that momentum. WrestleMania 37 will take place on April the 10th and 11th inside Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. So that'll be April the 10th is night 1, April the 11th is night 2. That's going to do it for that news. Now, moving on to my second Ingram Wrestling news. Moving on to my second IWN Smackdown news. Now, I do have some news on Logan Paul. And this is something everybody needs to know. This is something a lot of people are not going to be happy with, including myself. I have some news on Logan Paul. So you might want to tune in to listen to this one, because this one's very important. This one's not going to have people happy. It's not going to sit well with a lot of people. Logan Paul showed up on Friday Night SmackDown, even though, to me, in my opinion, he was not needed. And he wanted to, see what kind of conspiracy evidence Sami Zayn had in the trailer for his documentary. Now, Paul showed up as Sami Zayn's guest. And he was very happy to the famous social media influencer. It didn't take Sami long at all to invite Logan Paul to be his guest of honor at WrestleMania. Paul gladly accepted the invitation. Logan Paul accepted Sami Zayn's invitation, but he didn't, specify what he will be doing in that match. So we'll have to wait to see, but Logan Paul will be at WrestleMania, as my sources, my good old friends on Twitter, Ringside News First, exclusively reported. Now, after the documentary trailer was over, Logan Paul didn't really see the evidence. He also revealed that Kevin Owens told him that Zayn lives in his own reality and he's Noristic. Now, before Logan Paul could tell Zayn what he really thought of their trailer, Kevin Owens jumped Zayn from behind with a stunner. So the lineup for WrestleMania 37 for next week so far. Listen up, folks, because this is important. This is for every WWE fan to know. This is for all the Dota and AEW fans. AEW, WWE fans need to know this. This is very, very serious, important info here. So, the lineup so far. We got Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre for night 1. Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair for night 1, which I think Sasha Banks versus Belair should main event night 1, in my opinion. You Universal title, Roman Reigns versus Edge versus Daniel Bryan for night 2. Asuka versus Rhea Ripley for night 2. Bray Wyatt's Burnt Fiend versus Randy Orton for night 2. The New Day versus Styles and Moose for the Raw Tag Team titles, which I think that match is probably going to be awful. I mean, I don't know why you would want to add a 7-foot tall Moose to a tag match. I don't think that was wise by WWE to do that. Styles and Moose are not even an actual legit tag team. Moose is actually AJ Styles' security guard, not tag partner. So why again would you want to book the New Day versus AJ Styles and the Moose for the Raw Tag Team titles? This makes no sense, especially if it's not a storyline or a feud. Especially if a Moose is not even a main roster competitor. Why was he even called up? Oh, to be AJ Styles' security guard. Right. Okay, whatever. So we got the WWE United States title. We got Riddle versus Sheamus. Bad Bunny versus The Miz, which I think is going to be one of the worst matches on the WrestleMania 37 card. Just throwing it out there. Be prepared, because that is going to be the worst. Miz fucking sucks in the ring, and who knows what Bad Bunny's going to do. Alright? Really, who cares? Now, I do care about Bad Bunny and his Ducati song, because I actually like that song by Bad Bunny. One of his best songs, one of the best albums he's ever sung and produced. Ducati, one of his best songs ever. So I do, in some sense, care about, Bad Bunny's career. Wouldn't want to see Miz injure Bad Bunny. Even though this match is still, in my opinion, going to be one of the worst matches on the card. And one of the even more worst matches on the card is going to be Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon in a steel cage match. That's going to be even more god-awful. So good luck with that. Good luck to those of you that's going to watch Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon, because I'm not. Who in the heck wants to watch a fast-running Braun Strowman in the ring against Shane McMahon? Why would I want to watch a 30, 40-something-year-old 7-foot tall Braun Strowman going toe-to-toe with a 40, 50-something-year-old Shane McMahon? Are you serious? You know how awful that sounds coming out of my mouth? And then we got Seth Rollins versus Cesaro, which I think it has the potential to be one of the other best matches on the WrestleMania 37 card if it's done and produced right. And I think Cesaro should come out on top. He should be the winner. It shouldn't be Seth Rollins. It should be Seth Rollins losing and Cesaro winning. And then we got Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. Logan Paul will be involved, which I don't think he should. I think it should be a old-fashioned Zayn versus Owens match with no one involved. I think the right call would be to have Kevin Owens win over Sami Zayn. I mean, Sami Zayn winning over Kevin Owens would also be fine too, but it wouldn't look right. It wouldn't really look right. But what if Sami Zayn rolls Kevin Owens up for the 3? Well, he can't, because Kevin Owens is 200-something pounds, right? Isn't he 200-something pounds? I mean, Zayn's not going to be able to pick up Kevin Owens. Are you crazy? Do you really think Sami Zayn can pick up Kevin Owens? Does really anybody in the community think that? I think the right call would definitely be Kevin Owens winning over Sami Zayn. I just can't see Sami Zayn beating Kevin Owens. I just can't see it happening. I'm sorry. I just can't see it happening. If Kevin Owens gets distracted by Logan Paul, if Logan Paul somehow does something that helps Sami Zayn win his match against Kevin Owens, okay, but I think it makes more sense for Kevin Owens to win. I think it would be the right call. Definitely would be. Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. I think, in my opinion, it either should be Ricochet winning the match or maybe Mustafa Ali. Because Ricochet and Mustafa Ali, they deserve some wins in the WWE. They have been utilized, kept on TV. They've been losing, buried for weeks now. I think it's time that one of them gets the win in this Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Ricochet and Mustafa Ali deserve better. Also, Angel Garza as well. All this young talent on the roster deserve better. Including those three. Anyway. I don't know about the rest. Buddy Murphy and Aleister Black definitely deserve better. Aleister Black should have been world champion by now. But no, Vince and Bruce didn't want that though. Vince didn't see any interest in Aleister Black. He doesn't even see any interest in Keith Lee. Which, by the way, is not Keith Lee, limited. It's like my buddy JD likes to call him. Limited. I like that. Sounds really good. I like that. And we got the women's WrestleMania Battle Royal. who, at this point, who fucking cares? The women's divisions are looking the absolute worst. The Raw, and I'm talking about the Raw women's division and the SmackDown women's division. Both divisions are looking the absolute worst right now. I could care less about this women's WrestleMania Battle Royal. If anything, the person to win it, I think, should be Bayley. I mean, I do care about Bayley because she's one of my favorites. Liv Morgan's one of my other favorites as well. And Ruby Wyatt as well. Even Mandy Rose is one of my favorites. So I think either Mandy Rose, Bayley, Liv Morgan, or a Ruby Wyatt should win it. One of those four should win the Women's Battle Royal. So again, I think it should either be Liv Morgan, Mandy Rose, Bayley, or Ruby Wyatt. I think one of those four women should win it. It shouldn't be no Billie Kay or Peyton Royce or Lacey Evans winning that Women's Battle Royal. You gotta be kidding me. Hell no. So then we got the Dirty Dogs versus Street Profits versus Otis and Chad Gable versus Rey Mysterio, Dominique Mysterio for the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. That's going to be booked for not only WrestleMania 37, but it's also going to be booked for the SmackDown after WrestleMania, which I think is a stupid fucking move to book another championship match right after WrestleMania 37. Are you fucking serious? I mean, from what I heard anyway, if that's true, then I think it's fucking absolutely stupid. And it makes no sense at all. So we got the WWE, then we have WWE Women's Tag Team titles. We got Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus Lana and Naomi versus Natalya and Tamina, which I think, sadly, unfortunately, I gotta say, that Baszler and Nia Jax are going to retain. I'm hoping one of the other teams win the titles to where we can see Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax break up, finally. I really just don't care about this women's tag team division at this point. The only women's divisions I care about is the NXT and AEW women's division. That's it. The Raw and SmackDown women's division I can care less about. But I do care about some of my favorite female talents that's on there, that's on those rosters, including Bayley, Sasha Banks, Belair, Liv Morgan, and less various others. So that's all the news I have on Logan Paul, and that's your card for WrestleMania's night 1 and 2. The matches that's on the card for those nights. Now, Let me give you this information on Edge reacting to Christian. He deserves an AEW. He says, Edge says, and I quote, "I'm not boomed. I want him to be happy. I want him to get the respect that he deserves because I'd like for him to get the on-air respect that the locker room shows him. If you ask anyone within our industry, he's a name where people go, man, that dude. Watch Stone Cold, Steve Austin, and Randy Orton talk about Christian and what he brings to the table. I want him to be wherever he's going to get that respect. Whatever the initials are, he's my best friend, and I want him to be happy and do what I'm hopeful to do, what I'm hopefully able to do, which is go out on your own terms and see this thing through properly instead of you're done. We've been in a scenario. Now Christian Cage had his first in-ring match in 7 years on this week's episode of AEW Dynamite against Frankie, which was great. Which was great. Which is an indication that Christian still has it. He still knows his finisher well, still knows his signature well, still knows his moves that he does in the ring. Similar to what he did back, in Attitude Era, back when he was in his younger days in the WWE. Anyways, Cage managed to win the match and looked impressive while doing so. Now, that's all the news I got on that. On Edge reacting to Christian. Now, last but not least, the last SmackDown news I have for you is the news on Roman Reigns explaining the taping, the tap out at WWE Fastlane. So, I got your news on Roman Reigns explaining the tap out for Fastlane. Now, it says here that Roman Reigns is undoubtedly one of the most established superstars in the company, which I absolutely agree. I mean, why would you want to disagree to that? If you disagree to that, you're a fucking idiot. Now, towards the ending of the match, Roman Reigns tapped out after Bryan applied the yes lock, but there was no referee to see it. Which I thought was odd. While speaking to ESPN's Ariel Helwani, Roman Reigns denied tapping out and said that he was actually sending Morse code to Paul Heyman as his mouth was covered. Roman Reigns said, and I quote, "I told Paul Heyman I'm over here hitting Morse code to Paul. He had my mouth covered. We're so in tune with history and everything. I was Morse coding with him, telling him to fire up a jet. That wasn't a tap. And you're from the MMA. They do. Taps his shoulder. That's a tap. Like you can hear the tap. I was just telling Paul that's all that was." Now, Reigns is scheduled to defend his Universal Championship against Daniel Bryan and Edge at WrestleMania 37 next week, which we already know, which I already explained. Now, we have to see if he can retain the title at the event. Folks, that is all your SmackDown news I have. And that is the end, once again, the end of the April the 2nd, 2021 review. Speaking of SmackDown review, if you enjoyed the review, hit the thumbs up. If you didn't, hit the thumbs down. Now, IWN is officially ending the stream. He's officially about to get the hell out of here. So, I do have some announcements to make before I leave. It's probably the same announcements from earlier in the beginning of the review. I just want to mention them just in case you heard them. just in case you missed them. Alright, so once again, my Naruto Ultimate and Stormforce live stream is going to be live this evening. I don't know what I'm doing this afternoon. I think this afternoon I'm going to continue doing and making thumbnails for most of the WWE and AEW female wrestlers. I'm only doing thumbnails for my favorite WWE and AEW female wrestlers. And some of the ones that I'm actually starting to like now. And I will be doing some for a few male wrestlers as well. Maybe, I don't know. I'll see. I'm thinking about it. I'm highly thinking about it. But Dragon Ball Z Verse 2, I'll be streaming that live this Sunday afternoon. The stream is probably going to last all the way to Sunday night. I don't know. I think Sunday night I'm going to be dropping an England Wrestling News video. If there's some news that I see on Sunday night, but there's news that I'm interested in doing the IWN news on, I'm going to do that and upload that video to YouTube. And I'm going to be, this weekend, I'm going to be recording a few AEW Dark and Evolution matches. I'm going to upload them to YouTube. Just in case, you know, some of you missed some of the matches like Maddie Rakowski versus Jasmine Allure. I have that video on my channel. Go check that out. Go give that a like. Maddie tore the roof off the place. She easily destroyed Jasmine Allure. She destroyed Jasmine Allure, man. Easily defeated her like she was nothing. Like she was a piece of trash. Also, once again, my WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2, my WrestleMania 37 Night 1 and Night 2 reviews will be live. My WrestleMania 37 Night 1 will be live on April the 10th. It'll be live on, it'll be live after the actual WrestleMania 37 pay-per-view. The WrestleMania 37 Night 1 review. And then, same with WrestleMania 37 Night 2 on April the 11th. My WrestleMania 37 Night 2 review will be live after the actual WrestleMania 37 Night 2 pay-per-view. Now, I don't know if I'm buying WrestleMania 37 on the pay-per-view or not. Should I? My question to you all in the chat is, should I? I'm going to actually tweet that out, ask that. I'm going to tweet it out and ask everybody if I should buy WrestleMania 37. Or if I should subscribe to Peacock. I might not. I may do it early so that way I won't miss WrestleMania 37. It's probably not even going to be that worth watching, really. I mean, given some of the worst matches on the card, including Shane McMahon versus Braun Strowman and Bunny versus Miz, those two matches are definitely going to be one of the worst, terrible matches on that card. They are. Rhea Ripley versus Asuka had no build or no direction whatsoever. But they had no choice. There was nobody else that Asuka can challenge. I mean, I would rather see Rhea Ripley versus Asuka than Asuka versus Charlotte, so I'm not complaining about that. I'm not going to complain there. Given that Rhea Ripley is better than Charlotte anyway, I mean, just throwing it out there. But, folks, I'm getting out of here. You all have yourselves a good rest of y'all's weekend, and please be sure to wear masks when you're going out in public, because people are still not wearing masks. I don't understand why people are not wearing masks, but they're not doing it. It's okay to not wear a mask when you're outside on the porch. If you're outside on the porch and nobody's outside, you don't have to. But if you're, outside and you're about to walk or go somewhere, please wear a mask. And if you feel like you want to get vaccinated, that's you. Go get vaccinated. If you don't want to go get vaccinated, then don't do it. I know I'm not. Because I'm not, for the simple fact that I heard that a lot of people got killed. A lot of people died from the vaccine, from what I've been hearing. And turns out that's kind of true, because I've seen the news on somebody dying from getting vaccinated. There have been certain people dying from vaccination. I wouldn't trust that vaccine one bit, folks. I wouldn't trust it. Don't go get vaccinated. Wear a mask. If you wear a mask every day without getting vaccinated, you'll be alright. Folks, I would recommend you not go get vaccinated. There's no telling what's in that. No freaking telling. I don't know why my granny went and got vaccinated. I don't even know why she went and got vaccinated. I don't even think that was a good idea for her to go do that. But anyways, I'm getting out of here. Have a good day, and I will see you tomorrow on Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 4 live stream. Be there, folks. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna be going against hundreds of millions of players.